Hi, so today's video, we're going to be showing you how to utilize the C7771 replacement we sell on our website for 2008 and 2009 15 and 17-inch MacBook Pros that are dead, how to diagnose the issue, and how to solder this little thing on. So over here, this is going to be the area on the 15 and 17-inch 2008 and 2009 MacBook Pros where you're going to find that little capacitor right underneath this coil over here, and I'll show you under the microscope what that area looks like. It's going to be a little dusty on this board since it is quite old. So right over here, you should see we have the green chip, which is the MCP. That's what the heatsink is screwed into. The fan is over here, and right over here we have our capacitor. We have a plus side and a ground side. And the way you're going to diagnose if this is the issue with your machine, which is typically the issue of it not turning on, or it only turns on once it's gotten warm or something like that, is you're going to take your multimeter, you're going to take the black probe of you're going to turn it in voltage mode, take the black probe of the multimeter and place it on ground, so somewhere like this screw hole over here for the heatsink is fine, and then you're going to take the red probe and place it over here on the capacitor, and over here, the 17-inch boards, unlike the 15-inch ones, actually tell you what everything is. So it says C7771. And as you can see here, we're getting 0.314 volts. We're supposed to be getting 1.05 volts. 0.314 is not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that capacitor, which is the problem, and replace it with a better one. So the first thing that we need to do here is remove that capacitor. And I'm going to also, to make room, we're going to move this little coil over here up while we're at it. So as you can see, there's a coil, and this is going to get moved up. So I'm just going to add some flux, going to turn on my hot air, get my hot air ready here, and get started. So, now you also want to be careful if you are using hot air to not heat this chip next to it too much. You don't want to reflow the balls or do anything nasty. So try to make sure that your air is blowing this way if you can. So I've got my iron here. Now I'm going to try to remove this capacitor while simultaneously I'm also going to try to blow my coil and move it up a little bit so that I can make room for my cap. Also keep in mind this board here is the 17-inch where we have a little bit more room than we do on the 15-inch. Alright, so the coil, I'm going to move that up. I'm going to remove the capacitor. I'm going to push the coil down to make sure that it stays soldered on the board. So now I have more room on the motherboard. And now the capacitor that we sell, you're going to notice, is bigger than the original capacitor. So our original tantalum capacitor, which is the one that fails all the time, is this big. Whereas the capacitor that we're going to be putting in here is this big. It is not a tantalum, because the tantalum one is what's causing this issue in the first place. Now there's a couple of things to note here. The first is the polarity. Remember that the left side was positive and the right side was ground. Now this capacitor over here has this little bar on it. See the bar? That bar is the positive side, and the positive side needs to go on the left. So the second thing to understand is that if you look under the capacitor, there's not two metal contact points, there's 3. And this is probably confusing because there's typically 2 leads in a capacitor. Well, if you look closely, this one is its own lead, and then these 2 are both the same. So this is going to be positive, and those ends are going to be the one that go to ground. Now, if we were to put the multimeter here into resistance mode, you'll see that this is the one, these 2 are not connected. You're getting, 55,000 ohms, but over here, these 2 are connected. So this is going to be one end, so this is going to go to here, and this is going to go to here. So that being said, we're going to add some solder to our pads there. and then solder this capacitor on. And I'm going to just show you the orientation of it just in case you're confused. So we add a little bit of flux there. Take my iron. Now this tip is a little probably too big for this application, but it'll get the job done. Do that. Do that. It's hard to fit this thing in there. There we go. So we got our two pads there. Now add some flux, and you'll notice that since this solder is the leaded solder, it's going to melt sooner. So this is our cap. Let's just turn it around so it fits in there. And there. So it's going to go like this. Remember, this side is the positive one with the bar. And I'm just going to preheat the board a little bit from far away. Remember, I'm blowing across this way to try to keep hot air off the MCP. The MCP is the green chip to the left. You don't want to heat that. That's no good. All right, and it's gonna go kind of diagonally like that. It's gonna fit like this. So this is not touching that. This metal piece, it's ideal if you make that not touch anything. We've got a little solder blob there that's not ideal, so I'm just gonna toss that out. I put too much solder under it. You may make the same mistake I do. God knows, years into this, I'm still making that same dumbass mistake. Come on. Shoot on out, solder ball. There we go. Okay, I got the solder ball out. Well, there's still something under there, but you're going to do a better job than I do. So you have something to shoot for now. Alright. It's always good to give you something to shoot for. Do a better job than me. Now you go. So I added a little bit of flux. I'm going to use this tip to suck up the excess. Okay, now we're going to see if our issue is fixed. So I'm going to plug it in. Put our meter in voltage mode. And what do we get? 1.106, which is close enough to what we're looking for. We're going to short the pins to turn it on. And as you can see, your machine that was once dead is now turning on. And that is it. So that is how you go about the installation of the capacitor on the 17-inch 2008-2009 Unibody Macbook Pro. If you have one that's dead, I know a lot of people really like this machine just because Apple doesn't make these with the larger form factor anymore, so they do have a bit of a cult following, and most of them, if not all of them, are dead right now because of that issue. So there's going to be a link in the description below to where you can buy that. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something.